Alright, we're just out here this morning getting a heat cycle on her, and I got my bag of goodies in. So I got a valve cover gasket for when I eventually have to pull this valve cover and do the timing. Got a new expansion hose, new primer pump, and wherever it is, down in there, a new radiator cap, and a new gasket for the seal on this guy. So I'm going to get back to cycling glow plugs, and I'm going to make a quick attempt at getting some of those things done. Not the timing cover gasket, or the valve cover gasket, but I'm going to see if I can swap this guy real quick. Definitely the radiator cap, that O-ring, and what was the other crap I bought? I don't remember now. Oh, the primer pump. Let's see if I can get the primer pump off. I think I can. I got to use vice grips. And yeah, try not to get diesel all over my jacket and then get to work. Alright, so we've been mostly unsuccessful. I did replace the radiator cap, and I did replace the seal on this. The one that was on there was still in decent shape, but it was pretty hard and it had a set, so hopefully that'll keep some of that oil from blowing out. I was wholly unsuccessful in changing the return line expansion hose because for some reason this diesel-soaked hose clamp screw down here is rusted solid, welded to the clamp itself, and I have tried tons of PB blaster, a big old stubby screwdriver, tons of force. I had something under it and I was pushing down on it, and I even was able to wiggle an impact gun in there, and it will not come free. So I'm going to have to cut that off and replace it with a regular old hose clamp, which I do not have with me today, so I'm not going to do that. I was also unable to get the hand primer pump off because the guy on the internet whose instructions I was following is a big fat liar, and he said that it's a 17 millimeter on there. It is not. It is like a 21 or like a 13/16 or something, because if you can see that down there, but that's all big like. And on top of that, the fine people at the Mercedes factory, when they built this thing, they squared that thing up to the pump so that it looks nice, which also means that you can't get a wrench on it because the flats are here, here, and here. And if you try and put something on this way, you hit that hard line. If you try and put something on this way, you hit that soft line. If you try and put something on this way, you hit this. So you need a stubby crescent wrench or a crow's foot, and I do not have the correct size crow's foot here, and I do not own a stubby crescent wrench. I also could not get the vice grips on it because the vice grips are like this long, and the space I have is this long. Same goes with all of my crescent wrenches and pliers, so I just could not get anything on there to turn it. So I don't even know if it's stuck or not. I just can't get it off. And I'm back to cycling glow plugs. Put a gallon of water in the expansion tank. Probably need to put another half gallon in there. Well, it's that evening now. Just went and drove her up the road. I was able to grab third for the first and second time. The gas gauge keeps doing stuff. It keeps, like, the needle stops working and then the light stops working, but always one of them is working at some point in time. She's still staying at 100 degrees C. I parked her right before she got above it. I thought I might have plugged the strainer when I cut it off this morning because she was suddenly running on 4 cylinders. So I primed the fuel system before I started it this time, and now she's running just fine. Has plenty of power. She has no power, but is gutless. But that's how she's been the whole time. And still staying stable at 100 degrees C, so that radiator is hyper junk. Transmission seems to be getting a little better. I don't know if it's like full of rust or something or whatever. I probably shouldn't keep driving this thing, but I'm lazy. So it needs a change. And let's see if she'll die for the camera. Well, the vacuum system has really come around. Just the more I drive this thing, the better it works. Alright, can you not? Thank you. No, you're just gonna scream forever? That's nice of you. Oh, I've got the lights on. That's why. There we are. She was screaming for a reason. Okay, so today the hope is to get this return line replaced by any means necessary and get a proper hose clamp on there. And I figure push comes to shove, I can get this one off, so I can just cut the hose off right here and slide it down the line and then put the new one on and never worry about it again. Rather not do that, but I will do that if push comes to shove. Want to try and get in here and check the fuses, but these hand knobs are thoroughly seized in place. I want to see if I can get some more foam underneath here and try and identify where the fuck this leak is coming from. Just again for peace of mind. Last thing on the list is maybe try and get this hard line off, or this is a rubber line. Try and get that line off so I can get the vice grips on the hand pump. And I'm gonna try and splice all those wires back together. I don't know how many there are, like 4 or 5. That rat ate. What is that? How many? 3, 4? I think 4. So that shouldn't be too hard, just tedious. I was poking around and I decided to look a little bit more into previous ownership, and I found the maintenance book. And it looks like, or is that 95? Oh, that's 85. But looks like this car was originally in Pennsylvania, and it has had regular oil changes. Every appropriate amount. Yeah, I'm trying to see if there's any other fluid changes on here. All oil changes. All there, same place in Pennsylvania. Missed one there. Let's see, how much did they miss it by? Not by much. It was 8,000 miles. Missed it again by 11,000 miles. Let's see, back to got sold there apparently, or they moved because now it's East Coast Imports. Back to regular oil changes all the way up through 92, and then here's where it ended up in Charleston. So it looks like beginning of 92 was the last time I had the oil changed, and then there is a power gap of 14,000 miles until the next registered oil change down here in Charleston in date undisclosed. But seems to be about 92, so I'm assuming this was right before my cousin bought it. And yeah, good to know it at least had mostly regular oil changes for the first 100,000 miles. Don't know what it got for the next 65,000 miles until I got my grubby mitts on it. Probably not as often. The last thing, and the biggest thing I want to try and get done today is I want to bleed the brakes. They ain't going to be in perfect shape, but I at least want to get all the air I possibly can out of the lines. I'm not going to bleed the cylinder just because I'm going to try and do all this by myself, and because I don't think my dad will fit in the car. Alright, so I didn't have to go to plan D or C. I was able to actually get it done with plan B, which was put these vice grips on the opposite side of the screw and just honk them on there and then break the torque, because now it is, if I tighten it on this side, it is spinning just freely. So don't think I'm going to be able to reuse that clamp because I just totally munged those threads, but I'll be able to get it loose enough that I can at least get the hose off. I was hoping I'd be able to slide it over that way, but it looks like that won't be an option because there is a flare on the backside. So that would have sucked ass if that didn't work, because I'd have to get in there with a hacksaw, which, as you can see, I have plenty of room to do, and would have sucked butt. So I'm going to get this guy off, and then I'm going to make a quick stab at getting the primer pump off while I have that return line off and I've got the extra hand room. And the new expansion hose is in, and that's factory. So we're just going to save this guy because why not? But here's that crack that was in the hose that was leaking. So that was the crux of the problem, just a tension fracture. And against my better judgment, I put the old clamp back on just because I like that clamp design a lot better, except for the part where it welds together. But it sort of smooshes. It's very nice. It cradles the whole hose. It's not like a one of these guys that has the serrations that cut into the hose, and I think this might be slightly higher fuel pressure than, you know, what's on gas systems, so I don't want to use one of those little clampy ones. So I'm just going to put that guy back on there, and hopefully we'll not have to remove this again much. I mean, we are going to have to remove it to do a diesel purge, as well as probably to get in there to get these guys off, and I know those guys are not going to be seized at all. Well, diversion to the brakes, just because I wanted to break the bleeders free before I, you know, got any further along today. And another interesting quirk of this Mercedes, for reasons that my feeble American mind cannot comprehend, the lines on the master cylinder are 11 millimeter. So my 10x12 flare nut wrench doesn't do shit. So I'm over here using a 7/16, bent as half broken road fine 7/16 to loosen these so that I can attempt to do a little bit of bleeding on the master cylinder. And then back here on the calipers themselves, they are, in fact, here's my 10, 9 millimeter. There are 10 millimeters right here. That might actually be an 11, but why? Why is this a 9 millimeter? Why is the nut on the master cylinder an 11? Everything fucking else that is metric has a 10 millimeter here and a 10 millimeter on the master cylinder to make people's lives easier. But they went and they picked a 9? Why would you go smaller? Like, shit, go to 12. It's not like you're hurting for room here, really. And even if you were, you just move the damn thing. Like, shit. So anyway, that's just really annoying. So it would actually be pretty damn difficult to do this the typical way, but I'm going to try and do it with a vacuum. And push comes to shove, we will do it the traditional way. It'll just be slightly harder, just because I'll have to finagle with adjustable wrenches. Alright, so here's what I'm doing with the wiring. I've got these, like, low temperature solder shrink wrap sealant in one thingies that my dad bought that I think are fucking cash money. And I use them on everything because it's just so much easier than soldering and shrink wrapping and sealing and all that jazz. Just miles easier. And you can do this with a heat gun. You don't even have to fire up the soldering iron. But I forgot the heat gun. So I was trying to use Mom's old hairdryer. That didn't work. So I'm living dangerously, and I'm using a pocket lighter for this in this diesel-soaked engine because I'm like one trip from accidentally setting this car on fire. But this is what I'm doing. Just cutting a slightly too long piece of wire and using that to splice these missing pieces and trying to match stuff the appropriate color when possible, which is impossible because I'm using this box of old trailer wires. And yeah, that's 1 down, 3 to go. So I'm going to try and knock that out real quick and not burn the car down, or myself, or the house, or just not set anything on fire at all, preferably. Alright, there we are. And for all you people out there who actually know Mercedes wiring harnesses, the ones that I had broken were brown and red, brown and white, white and black. And as you can see, I have the black connected to the black with the brown, and the white connected to the white with the yellow, and the brown and white connected to the brown and white with the dark green, and the brown and red connected to the brown and red with the light green and yellow. And I'm just going to fold all this loom back up on it, wrap this with a little bit of electrical tape, and forget about it. And hopefully when I go inside and check both the blower, the rear windows, and the sunroof, they'll all make noise now. And hopefully that was the problem. We'll see though. Alright, batteries backed in. I've got them tucked out of the way and clipped back up. And let's come on in here and see if we can get the fan to work now, as well as the rear windows. Come on now. Alright, moment of truth. Alright, I'm seeing a hot load of nothing there. So it must be fuse. Or let's try one of these. These were working before. I have it on video. It is there. I mean, the glow plugs. Glow plugs still work. Alright, let's try this rear window. Oh, ain't doing nothing. What about this one? Nothing there. Shit. What does this do? Nothing, apparently. That light still works. Let's see. Sunroof? Well, that's definitely doing something because I hear it above me. It's just caulked in place. What do these do? I wonder if this has power seats. That'd be cool. Oh, this is like volume. These are the speakers. Neato, I think. Or that's to change the distribution from rear to front, I guess. I don't know. I heard the speakers make noises. Let's see if the blinkers work now. I think I just heard something make a noise in the dash. Well, blinkers aren't working. Maybe I have to have the thing in all the way forward. How about now? Yeah, they're not on. They were at least coming on before. Made that worse somehow. Maybe the lights have to be on? Huh. The headlights on, at least? The headlights are at least on. Yeah, it's definitely not blinking, though. Shit. What the hell do those wires even do? That can go this far and not have anything work. It's not on. I've now made everything worse by reconnecting all the wires that were chewed through. That's annoying. Great. Did it do something? Maybe I blew a bunch of fuses out doing that. Huh. Well, I guess it's off to look at fuses now. Great, cool. Alright, so I'm off electronics for now, but I'm honing back in on this leak, and I got this guy out with only breaking it a little bit more because this guy was seized in here. I just don't care at this point. So I broke a tab off, so the dash will be a bit floppy now, but who gives a fuck? I'll just zip tie it back together like everything else I do in my life. But I did get this guy out, so now we can get a much better look at all this rust that's been causing this problems. And this was like some sound deadening material or something that I've torn out because it was disintegrating. But here is a much better look at this rust issue I'm dealing with. Sorry about the audio. That is that trash bag that I shoved in there and caulked into place. And there's where all the foam is. And yeah, it's amazing that it doesn't leak more. I can tell from in here, though, from the fact that that guy's not super rusty, that I don't have too much of a rust problem in this column. So it's all right here. And this is all just doo-doo that's filled up in here behind this carpet. So I need to just peel this back. There's more rust down there. And this is where I believe all of my water is getting in, is in this general area. And draining underneath here. So this is where I'm going to focus my efforts now, is all of this. And I don't know if these are like plastic clips that'll come out or what. But now I at least have slightly better access to some of this crap and start working a little more seriously to get rid of all of this painfulness down underneath here. I guess I'll get to that, but not today, at a later date. So we'll just fold this right back up in there and forget about it for now. I see a lot of spray foam in my future, as well as some zip ties. Alright, now we're finally onto the brakes. As you can see, most of that sludge has now liquefied into a horrid black solution, so that's nice. I cracked both of these lines, and I was able to reach in here with the pedal and just push on it just a tiny smidge, and I did confirm there's fluid, so the master cylinder is mostly bled. I did just introduce air doing that, but it was worth that gamble just to see that there is in fact fluid there. And I came over here and cracked the farthest bleeder, and as you can see, it is a very healthy color of a dark red and black. And I've got the most important thing, which is alcohol. And normally, I bleed brakes with the old two-person foot method. But I've had this vacuum pump that I bought to diagnose a evap system thing from my mom's truck. And I hear you can use it to bleed brakes. So we're going to give it some suck and see whether or not that actually works. Because if I can avoid doing the foot method, I'm going to do that. And I do see fluid coming, so let's give it a chance to make its way over. And yeah, that needed changing. Brake fluid is not supposed to be red. Well, that didn't really work too well. Either this pump sucks, which it does because it's a pump, or I'm getting that shit everywhere, or this bleeder is partially clogged, but I was able to suck out that much, and then it wouldn't quite purge all the air bubbles, so I turned the whole thing upside down to get to purge air bubbles, and I realized I was about to fill up my fucking pump, and I think I did fill up my pump with brake fluid, so that's great, so I'm probably going to need to throw that away. And then it just stopped sucking, and yeah, it's very gross. And I'm gonna try and get this into the regular old foot method bottle, and I think we're gonna have to do that from here because this is clearly not working. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Alright, that looks good now. Alright, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Alright. Whoa, stop. Fuck you. Alright, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. Ooh, yeah. Right full. Yeah. Yep, you're free now. Delicious. Alrighty, got Dad's help and he was able to fit in the Merc, and we got all 4 brakes bled. Was able to find a 9mm wrench as well, and that's what we got out of her. And it's not the blackest stuff I've ever seen, but it is very rusty and it is full of chunks and it is very cloudy, and I'm glad I got it out. And we've just got the master cylinder back to being overfilled now. Yep, right about there. I did rear passenger, rear driver, front passenger, front driver, and then went back and did rear passenger just to try and push some of the old fluid out. Would like to do that guy again, but we'll ignore it for now. Brake feel is totally different, rock solid now. So that's nice to see. I'm sure that just means that the brakes will stick even harder now, and I'll have an even higher load on the engine, and it'll overheat even faster while driving it. But whatever. It's progress. We have most of brakes now. Now I just need to pull stuff off and see what components actually need getting replaced. I think rear pads still have some life in them, but I think the front pads are just absolutely gone. But we'll save that for a later date. I'm not going to worry about brakes until I have one of those guys, and I'm not going to worry about one of those guys until I have the radiator fixed, and until I've done a whole fuel system purge. So I've ordered a radiator. Hopefully it will be here soon. And I just now realized I have to order a Allen socket set so that I can drain the transmission. And yeah, whenever that crap shows up, we'll start working there. Alright, I promised Hayfield donuts. Now it's time for Hayfield donuts. Skirt. Woo. Not quite. I don't got the oomph for it. Plus, I don't got the suspension for it. But we can make an attempt. Yeah, she's not liking that. We're gonna stop trying to do donuts. But she drives so much better now that I've fixed the brakes. She still squeals pretty bad, but she coasts a lot better. Ooh, brakes really well. Actually locks the wheels. So I'm gonna drive her back for her overheat. But brakes have helped. Transmission's mad now though. Transmission gets mad after I actually get it up to temp. It seems like stuff settles and then it has enough fluid and then it runs out of fluid. Let's see if I can get third. So I'm just gonna keep running it with low transmission fluid because I'm stupid. There's third. What are we doing? It says we're doing 30. I'd say that's about right. Definitely not doing less than 20. Whee! Oh man, she's actually functioning. That's nice. Alright, so it's the next day and we're under the car and I'm trying to figure out which transmission I have. There's two ways to figure it out. You can just read the number off of the side of the transmission, which you can't see if the transmission's in the car from what I'm looking at here, unless you got the thing up on jacks. The other thing is to look at the casting of the transmission housing and see if it's the correct type, which you can't see if the transmission's in the car. So I'm resorting to plan C, which is look at the oil pan, and I believe I have a 722.3 transmission because the shape of my oil pan on the transmission is sort of a beveled rectangle with two little pinches, which is going to be hard to see, but I'll try and move the camera for you. I don't know how well you can make that out because I actually can't see the phone right now, but should be like a beveled rectangle with two little pinches in it. That's the little pinch I'm talking about. So I believe I have a 7223. It'd be nice if there was just, something stamped up here on the A column that just said, transmission 7223, engine OM617 dot whatever. But it doesn't. Also, there's my transmission mount. It's in somewhat okay shape. There's the flex mount, and it's not in horrid shape. And so like on the other side of the transmission in about approximately that area, or it might be on this side. The person said passenger side, but they didn't specify whether they meant European or American, so it would normally be somewhere in about this rough area, but I think it's on the other side, which I can't see because there's, an exhaust pipe. It actually is just stamped on there, and if I could see that, that'd be, real easy. I could just read it. but I can't. Man, I need to buy a hydraulic lift and a garage and a house and land. Does someone want to just give me like $1 million? Let's see if we can make any progress with the phone on this side. I was not able to by eye, but you see, that's what I'm trying to see around. I don't know if you can see anything, but should be like right about there, maybe. I don't see nothing. Probably because all the gunk. I think it's like right there, or possibly right there. It was next to these two little nubbins. These two little bulbs. I think it was supposed to be like right here. You see any numbers? I ain't seeing no numbers. Alright, well, I gave up on the transmission, but I didn't strike out on the engine number, which is going to be very hard to do while dropping the flashlight underneath the injection lines and making the camera manually focus. So give me a second and forgive me for the audio. Camera, have you considered that me clicking on this thing means I want to focus there and not on this fucking line? Alright, I got it, finally. You can see there, it fucking... Alright, finally got it. It is, as you can see there, it says 617-952-12, which you're not going to be able to see because fuck this goddamn phone. You know how many minutes it's taken me to get this thing just to fucking focus? Ah, Jesus. Alright, arms are giving out, and this thing does not like being zoomed in. Alright, but engine is in fact an OM617. It is a 952, and it has the series 1-2 after it, which means left side, American drive, and automatic transmission. So, was not originally a manual. I could have told you that because looking through the records, nobody did anything of interest with this car. Did a little bit more research on previous ownership. Original owner purchased the car in October of '85 from a dealer in Pennsylvania. They lived in Delaware, just a short way from the border. They did all their service at the dealership, and they put 75,000 miles on this car in 3 years. They sold this thing in '88 with approximately 75 on it. Then someone else bought it, and I can't tell where they were. It was East Coast imports, and if you look on the map, there's about 4,000 of those on the East Coast because people just like to name things East Coast because they're uncreative. My best guess, it's a place in Jacksonville, North Carolina. Not 100% on that because there's also an East Coast imports like 5 miles from the place in Pennsylvania. So don't know, but it was definitely sold and bought by somebody else because after they stopped going to that original dealership, they were only putting 10,000 miles on the car a year rather than 25. And also interesting to note, at about, I think 60,000, 65,000 miles, they switched to 15W40 rather than 10W40. And then whenever the next person bought it, they went to straight up 20W50. And they ran 20W50 up until it was bought by a lawyer down in St. George, here in South Carolina, in '94, I believe. And I know that my uncle bought the car in '98 because I found some insurance paperwork that had the list of, had the date when the car was purchased. Oddly, the guy who bought it in '94 did not, elected not to report the odometer reading, which is very annoying. And but it did make its way to Charleston in '92. So it went through one hand up in Delaware, then it went to somebody else, and then it went to the dealership down in Charleston in '92, and then they stopped putting stuff in the book. And then someone else bought it in '94, and then my uncle bought it in '98. So somewhere between '94 and '98, the first cousin I am aware of who has owned it in my family got it. So she only had it for a couple of years. Then it went to my uncle, and then my uncle only had it for 6 years. before he parked it. And then, yeah, then it spent 16 years parked there in front of the tractor shed. And unless I go and get like title research done, that's as far as I can take it, and I can't do that till I own the title. But started in Delaware, ended up somewhere else, then it got into Charleston in '94, so it didn't even spend 10 years up north before it was down here, and then it spent the rest of its time in South Carolina as far as I can tell. And pretty certain I have a 7223 transmission, and that's just what I'm going to go with. That's what my gut told me, because I knew it was big, and the 7223 is bigger than the 7224, and the 7224 has sort of like a fat T-shaped oil pan gasket, and the 7223 has the sort of crimped rectangle. And this definitely has a crimped rectangle shaped oil pan, so I'm going to assume it needs the 7223 oil pan gasket because it's a 7223. Because I can't find a build sheet. I'm sure there's a build sheet somewhere in this car, but I ain't found it. It's in the glove box. Check the glove box real quick. Ain't nothing in there I can see. There's apparently supposed to be something over here under the hood. Like here. It has some more information. But it ain't there. Or maybe here. Maybe this is something important. Anyone see a 7223 on here anywhere? I don't see any 722s in there. Don't know what that is. This is some sort of like punch card shit. Some fucking yield and computer stuff. Well, here's where she's going to sit for now. Next steps are get the radiator replaced, get that primer pump off, assess electronics, do a transmission filter and fluid change, and I'm probably going to do a diff fluid change, because if I'm going to have to put this thing up to do the transmission, might as well do the diff. Diff's a lot easier. It's just two plugs and then some fluid. Transmission's a little bit harder. So, yeah, that's what I'm going to do next, but I think I'm going to call the video here, just so that I don't end up making hour-long videos every single time. Remember to like, comment. If you want to see more of this trash, you got to subscribe, so go down there, smash that subscribe button, and until next time, Tom out.